everyone, I'm Dr. Laura Stapleton, and I'm here today to talk to you about accessibility, specifically universal design for learning. And we're going to look at that through the lens of how can we create alternative methods of engagement using discussion boards. But really, you can think about this as you're listening to this. Think about assignments and think about projects, because certainly this topic is not limited to discussion boards, but it certainly can be brought into tests and all kinds of things within your courses. So let's begin. All right, accessibility, materials and technology are accessible if they allow students with disabilities to acquire the same information, engage in the same interactions, and enjoy the same services. So that's a challenge to us, but it is certainly not something that we can't do. Now, looking at this, we see three scenarios. We see equality over on the left. So all students are trying to reach the same services, in this case, the board. We see that one student is not able to do that. And even the students that are able to reach it are able to reach it with different levels of comfort. Okay, so look at the middle. We've got accommodations. Now, all students are able to reach the service, in this case, the board. But is there a better way? Look at the picture on the right. Why can't we just make the board bigger? All students, therefore, are able to reach at their own level and to enjoy that. Now, you'll notice that we didn't have to make any necessary adjustments in height by doing that larger board. And so all students, again, were able to benefit. And that's one of the key threads that we'll find within universal design for learning. Not only students with disabilities are able to benefit from these particular structures that we put in place, but other students as well. So here are two examples of things that were created for disabilities, but certainly many people enjoy these and utilize these. For example, we see the sidewalk cutout. Now, certainly someone in a wheelchair would benefit from this, but what about someone who's pushing a baby stroller or someone who is carrying a suitcase? They would use this as well to easily get up to the sidewalk. Also, closed captioning. Many people use those if they're having trouble following the dialogue or understanding a certain aspect of the dialogue. So it's not just the disability groups that can use these services. By putting these in place, other populations are finding benefit from these. So UDL principles were specifically looking at action and expression. How can students convey that they understand a concept in a variety of ways? How can we put in this choice, if you will, so that all students may partake in this? Okay, so again, you have the choice to use the sidewalk cutout or you don't. So by putting that sidewalk cutout in place, other students can use it. So think about that when we talk a little bit more. So with UDL principles, teachers allow multiple ways to interact with the content to show what they've learned. So you're not just saying write a discussion board, you're giving them multiple ways that they can demonstrate that knowledge. And this flexibility of demonstration can be done through a video, a written assignment, maybe some creative outlet like an art project or a blog even. Now, effects of UDL is that students take charge of their own learning, and teachers really are able to build a community of belonging in that all students are able to be at their level and be able to interact with the course. And it meets the needs of each learner. And I'll tell you why I became so passionate about this is one day during my graduate courses, I enrolled in a course, and the very first assignment was an opportunity to read a chapter and kind of summarize it. And the instructor gave us a lot of leeway as to how we could demonstrate that summary. There was creative ways, there was written ways, there was visual ways, and so forth. And that freedom to choose something that resonated with me really allowed me to be more engaged with that assignment than I would have ever done if they would have just said, write a 200-word summary of it. I did something creative and became very passionate about trying to get that creative expression that I was doing to light for other students to see. So by giving this opportunity for choice, you really will make an impact to those who do choose that. All right, now there's a great organization out called cast.org, and again, there's three really tenets to UDL. How learners will engage with the lesson, how the information is presented, and then what we're talking about is how students will express themselves. So this website has some great resources that you can use as you go through your lessons to make them more universal designed for learning, integrated. All right, now if you have any questions, when we are going to take a look at an example, but if you do have any questions about accessibility or instructional design or setting up your course, I wanted to point you to the Design Center. Here is their telephone number. Here's their email and website. And of course, you can certainly ask one of the faculty liaisons. But I don't want to let you go until we actually look at an example discussion board within a course of mine. Now, this example discussion board gives student choice. It gives the students an opportunity to be creative. It encourages a personal connection by allowing them to see something in their own world, and they can share the results or their efforts with other students. And of course, we have that educational foundation of the grading rubric. So let's take a look at that within Blackboard Ultra. All right, so let's take a look at a discussion board. So here's one in which I call Normal Distribution in the Wild. I've tried to give it a fun name and a fun image to kind of draw students in. Here you'll see that there's a dinosaur that has its back shaped like a normal distribution. But I indicate that we're going to talk about normal distributions, and I give them some ideas of where they can be found around us. But then their task is to identify a real-world phenomenon that follows a normal distribution, and I encourage them to think outside the box. It can come from anywhere. But they are going to describe the phenomenon and explain why it follows a normal distribution. And they can use any of the following methods. They can do a traditional written explanation. They could do something visual. Maybe they want to draw something or create a graph. That would be fine. A mathematical model. Or I leave this category open for other. If they have an idea of something creative that they want to do, I'm all for it. I just want them to kind of meet with me and discuss it. But then how they choose to present this even has a further option. You'll notice that I say in your post, present your real world phenomenon and the method that you use to represent it. And then I want you to discuss it. How the understanding the normal distribution of your chosen phenomenon can be useful or impactful. But they have a choice in how they want to present that. They could present it by uploading that work to Blackboard, or they could create a video. So a student could create a video and show their art, or a student could have a video and actually show maybe the signage that had the normal distribution, or maybe show the aspect of a game that had it. So, and then they would talk about that particular impactful nature of it. Now, I encourage them that there's no right or wrong, that we're all here to learn from each other's perspectives. So I'm trying to alleviate any fears that they might have but from going out and doing something creative. And I also tell them that I want them to reply to 2 students. So I'm trying to build a community. I'm trying to have them be engaged in it, but I'm giving them this choice. Now let's think back to what we learned with UDL. And perhaps someone needs to use a video because of a disability. Well, they have it. They have it with this particular assignment. But someone who chooses to create a video because that's engaging to them, they also have it. So by opening this up with some freedom, I'm meeting a broader reach with my students. And I'm still grounding this. So even though I'm taking a multitude of ways that this can be presented, I'm still giving them a rubric where they have to understand the normal distribution, describe its key features, explanation of real life, and respond to another student. So still that educational background is present, but they're just being able to present that in a variety of ways. So I hope that you find this useful, not only to discussion boards, but just to assignments in general. And I look forward to seeing what you do with this. So thank you again, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.